Good morning. We're going to read Job 20. Then answered Zobar the Naamite and said, verse 2, therefore do my thoughts cause me to answer. For this I make haste. You would have thought that there would be no reply to this statement Job made. The last chapter, he obviously believed and even expressed it with his mouth. It appears that Zophar did not hear what Job said. If he did hear, he did not believe Job was telling the truth. Verse 3, I have heard the check of my reproach, and the spirit of my understanding causes me to answer. Job had reproved him along with his other friends. Zophar thought he was compelled to answer. And verse 4, knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth? Verse 5, then the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite for a moment, but for a moment. Here it means that the occasion which the wicked had for rejoicing would be brief. It would be but for a moment, and he then would be overwhelmed with calamity or cut off by death. So far, it implied that there had been a tradition that in the beginning that the wicked would not triumph for long. He believed Job was a hypocrite. In verse 6, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds. Verse 7, yet he shall perish forever like his own done. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Job had reached a very high position of prosperity before all the calamity came upon him. It appears that Zophar was jealous of that high esteem and had hoped that Job would fall. It did not matter how highly he was thought of. Zophar said he was fallen as low as Job had, sitting in the heap of ashes. Some might ask where he had gone. Verse 8, he shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision in the night. He was speaking here of a dream, not being real, and it being gone when morning came. The vision is very similar. He said Job would vanish, as if he had not been there in the first place. Verse 9, the eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behind me behold him. This was a threat to Job, that he would die and not be seen any more of his people. Verse 10, his children shall seek to please the poor, and his hand shall restore their goods. Job's children were dead, so this was a useless threat from Zophar. Verse 11, his bones are full of sin, of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. It is so interesting to me that Zophar and Job's other so-called friends kept speaking of Job's sins in general, but not specifically. They did not specifically know of the sins they spoke of themselves. Now Zophar was trying to reach back to Job's youth for sins that he committed. Job had long since been forgiven for those sins. Verse 12 and 13. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though his spirit he forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth. This was speaking of the sweetness of sin. It was also saying that Job had not only tasted of sin, He found it sweet, but it actually savored the sin and bragged to his friends about it. Verse 14. Yea, his meat and his vows is turned to gall as within him. This was speaking of the sin being sweet in the mouth and bitter in the stomach and bowels. This is speaking of a man, those who Job, who had sinned and later found the sin had been poisoned to the body. Verse 15. He had swallowed down riches, and his friends had been jealous of Job's riches, and they were very pleased now that those riches had been taken away. They believed that God had taken them from Job. Verse 16. He shall suck the poison as the viper's tongue shall slay him. Zophar was trying to crush the spirit of Job with all the violent threats he put forth. The threats were of a general nature, but Job knew they were pointed to him. Verse 17. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. The wicked man not only will suffer pain for the sins he committed, but will miss much of the beauty in the world, because he will die early. Verse 18. That which he labored, or shall he restore it, and shall not swallow it down according to its substance. Shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. This was saying that the evil man would not have to give of his substance to those he had taken from in the past. Verse 19. Because he has oppressed him and forsaken the poor, he hath violently taken away a house which he built not. He was listed sins that could have been the ones that Job had committed, as if Job had definitely committed them. He said that he had oppressed the poor and taken their houses away from them. Verse 20. Excuse me. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not say that which he desires. This appears to be saying that Job hungered more and more for the things that belonged to the poor. He was never satisfied, so far had made up that lie. So he added to it that Job would not be able to keep it because he had gotten it deceived. Verse 21. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. Zophar said that God would take all of it away from him, so he would have nothing left for other men to take. Verse 22. And the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. Zophar said that even while he was still wealthy, he would have no sufficiency because the other wicked people would come and take what he had. Verse 23. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain upon him while he is eating. He said that God attacked Job before he could go out and oppress any more poor. So first said that God would rain down fire and brimstone upon Job for the evil he had done. Verse 24, he shall flee from the iron weapon and the bow of steel that shall strike him through. These weapons turning against the evil man were of great strength. Of course, Job had not taken flight anywhere. This was an untrue statement. Verse 25, it is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall, tears upon him. This was speaking of the bow being drawn as if it were prepared to shoot through the evil man. This was speaking of a fatal wound to the gallbladder of the wicked man. 26. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown unto shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. This darkness represented total separation from the light of God. The fire mentioned here was not fire that man had started. It was possibly speaking of the fire of hell. In the case of Job, his wife was left and some of his servants. So far said it would not go well with them because they were living in Job's house. In verse 27, the heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. Job had asked for heaven and earth to witness for him. So far was saying that heaven and earth would be opposed to Job. He was trying to offset everything that Job had said. Verse 28, the increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This was speaking out to the fact Job's children were already dead. There would be no increase of Job except for a miracle of God. Job's goods had been taken in battle as well. And in verse 29, this is the portion of a wicked man from God, and the heritage appointed unto him by God. So far was summarizing the things he had said in the last few verses that he thought would come to Job. He thought Job to be a very wicked man. The wicked man had no heritage. The thing so far was wrong about was who the wicked man was.